With increasing access to innovative technologies like virtual reality and 360 cameras, it's time for us to start considering accessible media practices the same we would for traditional 2D videos.
Except with this new technology, there are other special considerations that we have to consider, and that's what we're going to share with you today.
I'm Faith DeLorenzo.
I'm Eric Fabra.
Let's get started.
Subtitles and captions aren't new. In fact, the technology was first used by Hollywood when dialogue was introduced. And just after the mid-century, live captions became available for television broadcast. But since then, we've seen a sharp increase in the interest and application of captions and subtitles. Why?
While captions were originally intended to provide a text equivalent for video content for those who may be deaf or hard of hearing, it's actually been shown that over 50% of people who are able-bodied and don't have a hearing impairment use captions on a regular basis. Additionally, according to the World Health Organization, about 2.5 billion people will have a hearing impairment by the year 2050.
So this data clearly shows that there is an interest and a need that needs to be supported, and it's our job as multimedia technicians to make sure that we're supporting it based off of best practices.
So up until now, with traditional 2D videos, captions are usually in a fixed position within the frame. If you have closed captions, sometimes your media player will offer some customizability regarding color, background color, and size, but otherwise it's really up to the creator to position that text on screen.
But again, like we mentioned before, what do you need to consider when the environment is spatial and now your user or your audience has control over where they can look? For example, follow me. See, in a 360 video, we can still have the captions at the bottom, which is known as headlock in the industry. But depending on the content that you're doing, you may want to have the captions follow a subject. But if you do, there are certain things you want to consider.
On-screen indicators to indicate the direction of the audio source could be beneficial for viewers within that 360 space. That lets them know, hey, something's occurring somewhere in this environment and you need to change your perspective in that direction.
One of the benefits of having spatially tracked captions is that it adds to the full immersion of the media experience that you're doing and can really add to the active learning. For example, in 360 and VR training environments, there are really good use cases for replicating real-life scenarios and simulating what can happen in a real-life space. Sometimes the learning objective requires that the user has to explore that space. However, we want to make sure that we are supporting the ADA guidelines and supporting the needs of our users. But there are special considerations that need to be made when using this technique.
So activities that are learner-centered and require the students to explore the 360 space, it's really important to make sure you don't use the captions to unintentionally reveal contextual details, such as a speaker's name or any other important elements that may give those learners using those captions an unfair advantage, especially in the case of assessments.
Another key consideration with spatial captions is their placement, along with the indicators. You want to make sure that they're not blocking any key details that would affect the learning objectives.
And all of that is known as synchronization.
And of course, there's still the traditional legibility, readability considerations. For example, the font choice, or the color, or the size. These are things that still apply in spatial captions,
all of which affect the viewer's readability and legibility of that on-screen text, especially if you choose to use open captions that are embedded within that 360 media content. If they're open captions, the viewer cannot turn them on and off, and you have complete control in your video editor what those visual elements that Eric just described. But if you choose to use closed captions, depending on your media platform, the viewers may have a variety of different customizable options for the visual appearance of that on-screen text, which may also be limited depending on the 360 media player.
Now that you have a high-level view of what it takes to implement spatial captions, it's important to always remember the needs of our audience. Doing this correctly will not only meet the needs, but it will also enhance the learning experience for them. And if we take a proactive approach now, as this technology continues to become more accessible, we'll be more efficient down the road and ready to serve the needs of our students.
And if you are interested in learning more, make sure you check out the research articles all cited within our tooltips listed below. And with that, I'm Faith,
I'm Eric.
and we'll see you next time.